Hello, my name is Campbell Eubanks, and this is my audience. Let me ask you a question. How many items do you use daily that are made from ceramics? The obvious answers might come to mind, such as mugs, plates, or maybe even a vase. But have you ever considered that your kitchen tiles, lamp bases, toilets, and even the bricks of your home are made from ceramics? Ceramics, also known as pottery, began in the Paleolithic period. Ceramic items have been found across the globe throughout history. For example, here's a vase from Greece or jars from Egypt. Nowadays, ceramic items are manufactured and modernized for our daily use. The average person might not consider all of the steps that ceramics undergo to become created. First is the preparation, then the creation, and finally, the kiln firings. Step 1 is the preparation. This is the most important part of the process. Our ceramic pieces all begin as a lump of clay. This clay needs to be wedged or kneaded like dough in order to remove all of the air that is trapped inside of it. Any air bubbles that are trapped inside of the clay can cause it to implode later on in the process in the kiln firings. This is why preparation is the most crucial step of the whole process. Step 2 is the actual creation of the piece. There are a few different ways a ceramics piece can be created, including hand building, wheel throwing, and using molds. The first method of creation is hand building. There are 3 different techniques used for hand building. The first is pinching. This is where the clay is pinched to create the specific form. Another technique is coiling, where the clay is rolled into snakes and coiled together to create the piece. The last technique is slab building, where the clay is rolled out into thin slabs and cut and attached to create a final piece. Pottery can also be made using a wheel. The clay is thrown onto a spinning wheel, as shown here in the picture. As the wheel is spinning, the potter manipulates the clay with their hands to create a form. Wheel throwing can be used to create a more uniform fashion of piece and is a more quicker process than using hand building. Molds are another technique of creation. Molds are typically used for manufactured items. The clay is poured into these plaster molds, and once it is removed, it creates the most uniform and consistent pieces. The last step is the firings. Once the clay piece is dried, it will go through a firing in a kiln. A kiln is an industrial oven which will reach thousands of degrees. The first firing it must endure is the bisque firing, where the clay will have all of its moisture removed from within. After the piece goes through bisque firing, it will be decorated with colorful glazes and paints. And then it can be fired a second time to create a completed piece with a shiny finish. Many people do not consider how they use ceramics in their everyday life. Obviously, the pieces are very complexly made and go through a rigorous process, including preparation, creation, and the final firings. It is a time-consuming process and usually very underappreciated. I hope that my presentation could give you a little bit of insight. Thank you for listening. Here are my references.